No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. In the journey to become enlightened, for the path to become the greatest version of human, you must see the evil within yourself. The meeting with oneself is, at first, the meeting with one's own shadow. The shadow is a tight passage, a narrow door, whose painful constriction no one is spared who goes down to the deep well, but one must learn to know oneself in order to know who one is. In our contemporary society, our fixation with self-image appears excessive. But do we genuinely understand ourselves, or are we merely reflecting what we think we are to the world? Could it be that certain aspects of ourselves are being suppressed, concealing a hidden, potential monster waiting to emerge? Wherever we find ourselves, we engage in a constant process of defining and reassessing our true identity while simultaneously passing judgments on others' actions within our societal framework. Certain behaviors deemed socially acceptable are expected of us. Think about the various codes of conduct and ethical systems present in different spheres of life, be it workplaces, homes, nightlife, restaurants, or social gatherings. These diverse environments necessitate different sets of standards. Consequently, we adopt multiple personas, each representing a set of behaviors and beliefs about ourselves and our interactions with the world. This persona, derived from the word person, often conceals certain undesirable traits that reside in the deeper recesses of our minds. This concealment, deliberate or subconscious, leads to what Carl Jung termed the shadow, the obscure areas where these hidden traits and aspects of ourselves linger. Let's understand this with an example. Picture a scenario where your boss mistreats you, but because of their position, you feel unable to confront them. Consequently, you suppress your anger and dissatisfaction. However, if a friend were to act similarly, you'd promptly resist and express your displeasure. Despite being the same person, your behavior shifts in each situation, so, in this process, you repress many of your traits. The tragedy of the shadow lies in the unawareness that many harbor about its existence, especially those deeply entwined with their personas. They hold onto the belief that they wholly encompass their presented selves, failing to acknowledge any hidden aspects lingering in the darkness. Occasionally, these individuals might confront inconvenient thoughts or desires, swiftly burying them away. However, this repression only serves to amplify and magnify the shadow's size and unpleasantness, so the more we suppress this shadow, the more it grows and the more it does harm to us. This way, we unknowingly make our life upset. Regrettably, it's undeniable that humans, as a whole, fall short of the goodness they envision or aspire to possess. Each person carries a shadow, and the less acknowledgement it receives in one's conscious life, the darker and more intricate it grows. Consider the abuse scandals within religious or spiritual circles as a case in point. Certain roles, such as those of priests, monks, or holy figures, often demand behavior that contradicts their inherent nature. Moreover, there's a societal expectation that they uphold certain holy behaviors. While many navigate this path successfully, some struggle to integrate their less admirable traits. Over time, these suppressed desires start to rupture, bringing forth the shadow they've concealed for years or even decades, and when it emerges, it's not a gentle unveiling. Individuals with dense shadows often exhibit extreme judgment. They suppress their imperfections and swiftly critique others for the very traits they attempt to hide. In truth, they observe in others what they strive to bury within themselves. By projecting our own darkness onto others, we avoid peering into the depths of our own minds. The agitation we feel when we recognize our own dark traits in others could signify that we have inner work to tackle, despite our efforts to play the role of good citizens, smiling at neighbors, fulfilling work obligations, and adhering to societal norms. Deep within us lies an immense potential for malevolence. Consider World War II as a prime example of how ordinary individuals can transform into bloodthirsty aggressors. A series of unfortunate events triggered a monstrous entity from the German collective subconscious, rallying its forces. This malicious force awakened shadows worldwide, culminating in one of humanity's most massive massacres. The startling shift in character prompted by the surge of collective influences is remarkable. A calm and rational person can undergo a transformation into a crazed maniac or a ferocious beast. While it's common to attribute blame to external factors, nothing within us could erupt if it didn't exist in the first place. Even today, we struggle to understand this truth, likely because we find it challenging to acknowledge our own dark aspects instead. We tend to perceive the horrific crimes committed as an evil separate from humanity. In certain religions, there's a tendency to attribute such actions to external forces like spirits or the devil. However, if a war were to break out tomorrow, can you be entirely certain that you wouldn't undergo a monstrous transformation? Have you ever considered that beneath your perception of being a good or even exceptional person, perhaps someone with wisdom, guiding others, radiating goodness, constantly present for loved ones, generously donating to charities, celebrated by society, there might hide an unpleasant side? Could it be that behind the facade, an unsavory aspect remains veiled and you're unaware of its existence? Or maybe you're conscious of it but deliberately choose not to acknowledge it. Could this potential hidden ugliness be the reason why it feels like a continuous struggle to maintain that excellent persona every day? And does it seem like the more effort you put into it, the greater the inner conflict you experience? Is it possible that the priest might secretly crave control, or that the billionaire philanthropist is motivated by a pursuit of fame? Could it be that your cherished spiritual guide is primarily driven by financial gain, in our pursuits and the explanations we provide for them? It's highly probable that hidden intentions linger which we consciously avoid confronting, swiftly pushing them away if they ever surface. The Germans term these intentions Hintergedanken. Renowned philosopher Alan Watts frequently addressed this concept. A Hintergedanken is a notion deep within your consciousness, something you know but hesitate to acknowledge openly. The key is, by recognizing our Hintergedanken, we acknowledge that there's an aspect within us, hidden from the world, yet significantly influencing our actions. When we deeply examine strong judgments we cast upon others, it might reveal the precise traits hidden within our own shadow. According to Carl Jung, becoming aware of our shadow and finding ways to blend it into our personality reduces the risk of losing control over it. Jung referred to this process as individuation, aiming for the harmonization of all facets of our personality, even the darker elements, to authentically embrace who we are. Hence, instead of suppressing our dark side, the key lies in bringing the unconscious to consciousness. The shadow isn't always composed of negative aspects. Over time, you might have suppressed elements of yourself like creativity or unconventional sexual interests that society deems taboo. They can only be addressed when acknowledged. By courageously illuminating the darkness and moving beyond the facade we exhibit daily, we commence engaging with the shadow. In doing so, we can harness its strength, appreciating the beauty in our flaws and imperfections,